administrative meeting that we had when we're talking about our leadership. As far as everybody knows, I'm pretty sure because Ms. Ponce has, drilled it into our brains like crazy with the whole Pbis thing, right, the positive behavior. And of course, our word with animal. So what I'm gonna be doing is with the Pbis, I'm gonna tie it a little bit into with our Ccmr, which of course, as Dr. Miller said right now, if you guys don't know that much about it, we're gonna go over it right now in a second. Okay? But according to our campus improvement plan, besides your usual in ELA being with low scores, attendance being an issue, one of the ones that's there that's also according to our improvement plan was Ccmr. Okay, trying to close the gap between that. And you're gonna see how right now in a bit, that's actually a very, very big deal compared to our accountability, which of course, as you know, Mr. Miguel is, we had that A and we have to keep that, okay? So, with the competition breakdown of the recent school, that we have, with our leadership, okay? This presentation, that we're gonna do is gonna cover these 8 critical areas that are gonna impact the educational environment that we have. So it's everything from scheduling, to accountability, to the leadership, to the curriculum planning, okay? Everybody also usually has questions about with scheduling, right, with master scheduling and all of that, and so we're gonna give you guys a timeline pretty much of kind of how it works. So as science educators, of course, we understand that these administrative decisions are gonna be helped out to kind of try to align with our teaching strategy and with the school-wide initiatives that we have, okay? So let's talk about really quick some of those changes that we're already gonna do, which are gonna shape our approach to science education. It does work fine. Okay, so with the master schedule, okay, some people don't know. If not, you're gonna know now, obviously. This is already starting, it started already since last month, since March. So we begin with planning, right, with having our template and sharing with the assistant principals and with the master teachers, all the classes that we currently have, of course, that we want to have, going over the numbers, how many students are we gonna have, how many teachers are we gonna have, right? Who is certified to it, who can get certified later. Okay, those are all details that go into the master scheduling. By May, we already have a preliminary review of the numbers and enrollment projections, okay? So we get all our numbers from obviously our feeder school, Christian, however many students that we are predicting that we're gonna have also from a Memorial, right? Compared to some of the teachers that we know for sure are gonna come back. Obviously, they had to start doing interviews for teachers that are gonna retire, teachers that already made their intent that like, hey, done, not gonna be a teacher, or whatever, right? Basically, teachers are leaving, right? And then by summer, we already have some minimal adjustments with counselor input as far as for some of the offerings that we're gonna have for that class, okay? Now, by August, that final schedule is already implemented for that school year. Now, of course, you guys have been there and done that, and that we already know those first 2 weeks are kind of a, that's at lost cause, kind of where we're going on with, I've had it before myself that I've had a whole class got taken away, and I think this year, last semester, it was one of the weirdest ones. I had like 6 classes, I had 4 classes, or 3 out of those 4 classes, I had like 6 students each. So I knew it wasn't gonna last, and sure enough, one of the classes that was there, instead of having kids brought into it, it got switched over to completely another teacher. I think it was you, Mr. Ramos, that got that whole 5th period or something like that. So we already know that as much as the planning that we do and the information that we do, we still have those 2 weeks to kind of try to adjust little details. Students are getting in late, and I'm pretty sure you guys know that it's not just a simple matter of switching from this to this. Sometimes it's a mess because you switch from one teacher when that messes it up for another teacher as well, right? That messes it up for another teacher that, they have that period and such and so on and so forth. So it is a mess, and it's a work in progress always, yeah. Now, for leadership and our campus performance, so as the effective leadership team, right, our leadership team was praised for being productive and effective other than the other high schools, of course. Everybody should have expected that. And this was attributed to the rigorous commitment that we had as far as continuing to have a focus on improvement, okay? Which it's not just, what's the word I'm looking for? our strong accountability rating, okay? Right now, our current standing is at 88, but this is without the additional testing that, of course, that we're gonna have already. So as far as what we have right now, Dr. Miller, it was 90?
Yeah, that's what our goal is to meet at least the 90%.
Yeah, so at 90% and above, then we hit that A again. So if this is already at 88, and that's without the testing that we're about to do, I mean, unless, you know, the sky falls, I'm pretty sure that we're gonna hit that A again. Okay? Of course, with our Bible team, it's a lock. The critical performance metrics, of course, what we use more than anything for our accountability is the Ccmr. College, career, military readiness, okay? So these are points that are essential for campus district bonuses, which is always a big deal, right? While Pbis and Domain 3 for ELA are also closely monitored as integral parts for our accountability framework, okay? So as science teachers, we need to understand that these metrics that we have here, they're gonna help us to align all of our instructional strategies with the school-wide goals that we have, so that way we could help out more with the, as much as we can with the campus rating. Now, again, with accountability and testing, the measuring of, that we have for success, so Pbis, after everything that we've been doing again, especially this year with, all those little drills that we do as far as, writing and, you know, putting them on a Nearpod and all that, it did kinda help out, it's not, it doesn't seem that much, but I think this is a lot, you know, for our demographic. We started out at 19%, and we've actually right now climbed up all the way to 24%, which again, I mean, 5 points, that's a lot, I think, okay? And of course, our right now, again, our overall current standing without the additional testing is already at 88%. So, some of the new targets that we have been established for Domain 3, which is gonna be math, while some of the other subjects are gonna remain stable for about the next 2 or 3 years. So the improvement that we have in Pbis scores is gonna demonstrate the effectiveness of the structured interventions like Pbis Tuesdays that we had, right, almost every single Tuesday, and specialized intervention classes. So, as far as for US history, biology, and algebra scores are identified as critical for campus performance metrics. So as science teachers, the biology scores that we have directly impact our department's contribution to the school's accountability rating. And any improvement that we have above that 19% is gonna be considered positive growth, which that's always the key word, right, that our principals and vice principals always say, right, positive growth, okay? So, really, really well. You got stuck. Okay, now, I think it's a repeat. There we go. So, now, the big one, that a lot of people are asking about this year is, of course, with the TIA, right, the TIA, right, which is the teacher incentive allotment, and the teacher evaluation. So, if you're teaching a bio class, right, you are considered already in this category, right? But there are some requirements that have to happen. So of course, you need to have by the administrators 2 15-minute walkthroughs. You need to have 1 35-minute walkthrough. You need to have 1 45-minute observation. You need to have a summative review by the administrator, and of course, no waivers for that, okay? If you are in the other category where you're not teaching bio, right, you're teaching, you know, principles of tech, IPC, you know, chemistry, right, all that, and you are considered a non-TIA teacher, okay? And we still have some requirements for that anyway that are gonna happen yearly, which is gonna be 2 walkthroughs, a final observation, a summative review, and of course, every other year you are able to get a waiver, okay? But if you're in this category, this is what you're gonna expect that's gonna happen the whole time.
So, these are the revised prerequisites for TIA, or are these the ones?
So, right, cause didn't they just revise it about, they just, was it
Okay.
5 months ago? They just did this
Yeah.
recently, right?
Yeah, that's just recently.
Okay.
That's what,
What did they add that was different?
Huh?
Did they add anything different? Or was
I
that
think
No,
the
there
same?
was
a lot more
nothing really,
requirements,
there was
actually.
nothing, this is stuff that normally, Mr. Mireles, and the other, vice principals, they need to go through all that in order to kind of like put their, stamp of approval that you already done all the requirements that are necessary for the TIA.
Yeah. So unfortunately, some of the teachers, again, that are not gonna be TIA related, every now and then, I think it's every 2 years, give or take.
Yeah,
Where
every
you'll
2
have a
years.
waiver.
Yeah.
But if you're gonna be already in this category and you wanna
So
try to
you-
get that bonus, then unfortunately, there's no waivers for that. Which kinda makes sense in a bit, I think. So, the TIA, right, the Teacher Incentive Allotment, in case obviously some people don't know maybe, is that program that recognizes exceptional teacher performance with additional compensation, okay? I don't know the exact numbers, you know the exact numbers, Dr. Miller, as far as for the bonus?
No,
Well, she does, she gets it all the time.
Yeah, she gets it all.
No.
No, they
It's
say that.
it's 8, 16, and 30.
Allegedly.
8,000, 16,000, and 30,000.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
We've never seen it.
Now, how they're gonna fight as far as who gets it and all that, that should be a show also itself.
Yeah,
Okay.
Texas Tech,
A scam.
is the one that chooses.
Yeah,
Yeah,
which we're gonna
is-
talk about
yeah.
that in a second.
Also, I just wanna mention that at the end of the year, they're going to give us more of an update of what's gonna go and happen with TIA. So that's the only thing that I heard from Mr. Mireles from
It's
the
about
commission meeting.
149 who qualified.
Yeah.
I mean, who got approved from LISD.
How much was it?
From what I've heard, 149 teachers.
149 teachers.
And they said at least 100 were from the elementaries.
Oh, Jesus.
As you
Gonna
know.
be-
Blue ribbon and all.
Oh,
Don't work
yes.
yourself too hard.
So, some of the district budget and the staffing, projections that we're gonna have, okay, as far as for the district budget, or the deficit, some positions, okay, there, will not be replaced if a person leaves. So,
I wanted to add something like that, they're not replacing at least like 3 teachers from the whole district. Not here in Martin, the whole entire district.
like, they're just gonna close.
So, just to rest assured, because a lot of people were kind of like mentioning to Mr. Mireles that they were scared that we're gonna lose their jobs. So just to be aware that, we're guaranteed our jobs. Okay, so even though we have those budget cuts, we still have our jobs. The only thing they're not gonna do is like, if you leave, you're not gonna be replaced, so please guys don't.
Please guys don't quit.
This is not the year that you want to quit or retire, because otherwise we'll lose the position altogether.
But I mean, they did it to us already, Miller.
Huh?
They did it to us already when I left, they didn't replace them.
No,
They took the
they-
position.
but this time around, they're kind of putting it out there, basically. Just, so FYI,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
And then, of course, we are gonna see an enrollment increase, cause that's pretty much the way it works. Usually, if they're gonna, again, they're not gonna replace anybody, but they're gonna just be closing that position. But again, I don't see how it kinda works with us, because you're taking away teachers, but you're also, the enrollment is gonna be expected to, be increased. So, I mean, not that much.
Like the enrollment increase or like in your classroom size increase?
Probably,
Isn't that
I
correlated?
would say
Huh?
overall.
Isn't that correlated? Cause like, I
No,
mean,
I mean,
because
kinda.
it could still be the same amount of
I think
students,
you're gonna have more
but you'll
students.
just have
I'm gonna
more
be-
because there's less teachers.
that's why, I mean,
But it doesn't necessarily mean more kids enrolled, it's the same number of kids, just less teachers, so your classroom size is bigger.
It balances out.
Yeah.
That's what they're trying to tell us.
okay.
Yeah.
All that money
Trying
they're
to
saving
tell
on
us.
those last
In
positions.
other words, what we're
You
losing
know what I mean, like,
teachers,
cause like
we're
if they
gaining
enroll
another
500,
Mhm.
and like, I'm trying like to see if it's like gonna go over 500, or if it's just, what they mean is that our classroom size, instead of being 20, is now gonna be 25 or 30 because there's less teachers.
I think
Yeah.
they wanna
That's
have more
what's gonna
students
happen.
enrolled, and then at the same
Less
time, they
teachers.
want us to accommodate those more students with less teachers. I think it's a win, like a more or less.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
that's my guess.
So do we get paid more
No,
for
it
the
is.
increase of the enrollment?
Could be.
Yeah, sure. Well, pizza party.
That should coordinate too.
So, as far as for the attrition management, okay, it's gonna be managed through retirements and of course, and some reassignments that, apparently they're gonna try to do. Now, the only good thing about it is that also, I mean, we're in a good spot that we're guaranteed, job security.
Should be thankful.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh.
students are not gonna stop, so they're always gonna need teachers.
They laid off my friend who's a pre-K teacher in San Antonio.
Well, it's 'cause I think they're getting rid of
Expected.
pre-K.
That
I
doesn't
think
seem very
they're trying to get rid of pre-K.
They
I know
should,
my-
though.
At my son's school, they took away pre-K, there's no pre-K there no more.
It's a terrible idea.
No, she was in pre-K, she was kinder.
Okay, that's
It's
different,
kinder.
I don't know. But,
But I think they're trying to add more students to like the classes, like make the class size bigger.
They're the ones I really, really feel sorry for.
But they laid-
Gaggle
they laid
kids.
it out.
Yeah.
But they're getting the tier though, so.
She was
So, good thing about that, again, with the job security, as the current staff right now is gonna be guaranteed contracts, okay, no unexpected layoffs, you know what I mean, so, obviously, that's a relief that we all like, right, to be able to, okay, that we're gonna have jobs next year, okay? So, despite these budget constraints, the administration has provided reassurance about the job security, again. Limited capacity at charter and, parochial schools help maintain our enrollment levels, so potentially, mitigating some budget concerns for the school, okay?
Well, we're not thinking
I'm
about
back
even
to
the
wait.
school vouchers. It is,
Oh, that's right,
yeah, it isn't, let's just say that they're not expecting a lot of students to leave Martin. Even with that.
Shucks.
So, as far as then, how does this tie in with some of the CCMR that we're trying to improve, close that gap, okay? As you can see here with the enrollment and the dual enrollment projections that we have for next year, for 25-26, okay? We're expecting that a lot with our freshmen, you can't see it, but this is freshmen, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, okay?
And it's at the bottom. you
Wait,
just,
that's
you just move it
enrollment
over.
period, or that's dual enrollment?
That's enrollment and dual enrollments, right, that's both of them together.
Yeah, it's enrollment, I know it says dual on it, but it's just the enrollment.
Oh, no, yeah, the dual enrollment is, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
96 is
So-
low.
So the freshman enrollment is projected to be at 396, which is what it's right here, kinda have to go back and look. Right, 308 from Christian, 88 from Memorial, okay? Now, some of the adjustments are gonna be expected as students obviously select for specialty schools like Magnet or whatever, or the early college student.
After.
And then, of course, you got your sophomore, junior, and your senior classes, which are projected to be at 328, 333, and then 312. Okay? Plus, we're also gonna have these 25 after freshman students who are coming in, which we try to, as a joke a little bit, they're gifted, but they're not talented students. So, that's trying to be funny. So, because apparently, they're a special group that, that come in.
Unique.
Yeah,
Yeah.
unique,
Yeah,
excuse me.
I got the first wave of them this semester.
Yeah. What can we expect?
Not much.
They're not like college students, per se.
That's what I said, gifted, but
So
not
those are the
talented.
projections for next
Those
year?
are the projections for next year, yes.
So 25 after. So you see, those 25 kids have to be placed in an honors class. So they have to be in an honors class together. So all those 25 will be together. And yeah,
Now-
they had to test in the spring, not in the fall.
How many seniors do we have right now?
Everyone keeps asking me. I have no idea.
12.
Because that number is very low.
It's pretty low,
Yeah,
312.
I think so.
Like right now, I'm sure we have like
Oh, we're like
380
in I think we're 400.
or close to 400. So
400.
that projection for next year is very low.
Now, I believe that these after students, we talked about honors, they're gonna be in honors by, correct?
Second semester.
Second semester.
So
Yeah,
spring.
according to their plan. So they have like the way like in college, like you know how you have freshman year, you have to take this in the fall and this in the spring. Sophomore year, this. So for them, their freshman year plan is biology in the spring. So I spoke to Miller and I think he spoke to
Oh, there it is.
Polanco about seeing if we can fix that because like I said, there's no requirements to get into that magnet right now, so any student can join. So not all of them are honor students, which is fine, but when it comes to STAR testing, we obviously want them to test in the fall so that in case if they don't pass, they can test again in the spring. Because they were saying to follow their plan, and I'm like, okay, well, you're gonna throw a wrench in that plan
Oh, yeah.
if they fail spring, and now as a sophomore, they're still gonna have to take a freshman course. So,
So they're
That's
thinking
kind
about
of
doing that, next
what I
year.
asked
The
for,
only thing is
but
that they're waiting for the data and see how they come up or how they do.
yeah, but in that class, there's also special education students, really bilingual students, and yeah, it would be best if they're in the fall, but.
Well, let's hope that, I'm sure they'll listen. Okay, so then, with our CCMR and our curriculum, building, okay, so these are the ways that actually, the CCMR is basically measured, okay? Which is gonna be our improvements, okay? So this is what we're gonna try to hit for, that's going to be then tied in to this idea with the whole PBIS, okay? Cause I did talk to Ms. Ponce personally, you know, and just as an overall view, like, you know what, we've been hearing about this whole PBIS, you know, pretty much every single day, you know, we hear animal every single day and all that. And when I looked at the campus improvement plan, and it showed right there all these categories that need to be improved, I told her, okay, this right now seems like it's the biggest, not the biggest, or most, maybe not the biggest, but something that's a key thing right now that she is strictly behind. So how do you see that fitting into where, you know, our campus improvement plan? And she said that overall, I mean, of course, that everything should be then improved, right? So you have that positive building of, you know, having positive thoughts of those kids and everything. Attendance should be improved, CCMR should be improved, right? All those things, so, I do kinda agree with her with that. That's why what I'm gonna be trying to do to try to close that gap is then kind of add more to that whole PBIS, which obviously right now, what we're doing with Earth Day, you know, I think it helps. You know, I got kids actually, I'm not sure if they're excited because they wanna go out, or they're excited because they're not gonna do work, or skipping on work, cause I'm sure, are we gonna go outside, you know, it's like, yeah, today we are, you know what I mean?
We're working, it's just a different type of work.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean, now again, it could be something that might, you know, maybe people might do a little bit more often in a way. No, I don't know that much, but if coaches could do it, I mean, why not? So, we'll see. Anyway, so with the CCMR pathway, of course, obviously by how good, our SAT and SAT scores, that's what's going to then improve that. Same thing with our AP exams, how many kids pass that. Same thing with how many are gonna be then enrolled in dual credit courses, which we are trying to improve that. And it does seem like we're in the right direction, cause every semester, every year, it seems like we're kinda getting a little bit more and more in that. And then, of course, we also got our completers, right? Principles in technology, right? That's one of the key plans that we have right now. And of course, it's not CCMR without the military enlistment. So as far as kids enlisted in the military, I mean, the one good thing about that is that I don't see the numbers going down. I don't kinda really see them improving that much, but maybe it's better that they don't go down, you know what I mean? So, maybe no change is better than a bad change, you know what I mean? And then, of course, with the CTE requirements that we have, these are 3 courses with, 4 credits, in the same program, which of course, for us, as far as, is there another one besides principles? What's that?
No, that's it.
That's it?
Yeah.
But I mean, at least we're doing something, you know, to try to.
And most of the time, they use that as a force science more than anything. But
Yeah.
since it falls into the CATE also, we get the extra funding.
There you go. And of course, that's not the only reason why, but that's a big reason. And of course, hands-on practical courses and 4 courses, for program endorsements. Now, with the curriculum focus that we have, we're gonna try to integrate a little bit more better test prep for the TSI, the SAT, the ACT, the AP, which a lot of people are actually giving their 2 cents on that, which is really, really awesome. And then, of course, we're trying to slightly increase the pressure on K teachers, which
Yeah,
it's more of a challenge. I don't like to say the word pressure, you know, I mean, it's
Yeah,
more.
they're trying to increase, the CATE teachers to.
Certifications.
Yeah, the certifications and kind of like pushing the students into the same type of pressure that STAR teachers are receiving,
Yes.
basically.
Which, I mean, in a way, I don't have a STAR exam, obviously this semester, but with that AP course, I mean, I'm treating like that's my STAR, you know what I mean? Which I'm looking at the same way, like, okay, I need to get, you know, a couple kids past, you know, hopefully everyone. But still, though, but yeah, same deal with that. And of course, some of the college transition courses that we have already for our juniors. So the CTE, K computers must pass these 3 courses with 4 credits in that same program, including hands-on practical courses and the AP courses, particularly AP Spanish. That's the one that we try to give here a lot, Because obviously with our demographic that we have, that's a lot of college credit that they get, once you get to the next level. I'm not sure exactly what number it is, but I mean, they're already starting off on a good foot, with that, AP Spanish.
Mhm.
I think it's isn't it 4 credits?
It gives them the foreign language, it
Yeah,
like
foreign
omits it
language
for,
that. It counts to like 4 classes, right? I think it's like 4, 8 for 3.
not 4 classes, like just the one class, but it's 3 credits.
There you go. So, that's what actually
It
saves.
says it's a requirement for you to take a foreign language in college, so you just would
Mhm.
skip that.
Well, it helped me get my GPA up, cause I was 4 A's, I think, that I got, so I just thank God for that. Okay, so, then going on to the, Earth Day event that we're gonna have, already for our next week. So, Dr. Miller took these pictures of obviously, we're doing a good job with picking up the trash and, all of that. But we're trying to make it more pretty.
Let me just add to that, the first one is obviously the original, the one at the very bottom is actually an AI generated one.
Yeah.
Now, I
Really?
noticed that it kind of put flowers on top, obviously there's no foil on top.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
We're
was
not
like,
gonna
Yeah.
Slow down
here.
I was like, hey,
I was gonna say, that's not how it works.
We're not gonna get a jackhammer and just destroy the
Yeah.
cement?
Yeah, AI
how
was,
do they get the nutrients?
AI was a little bit
Yeah.
drunk. He
Well,
didn't
obviously
finish
we'll
that.
get lichen and moss first. Wait
If
100
any-
years.
I thought it was cool because I've never seen this. There's actually these 2 holes on both sides of the end that actually kind of fit perfectly for like.
Well,
a
I'm not sure if we'll
use.
strike like, is there anything with lights? Cause what if there's like a utility pole or a utility line that
Well,
runs
that's
through there?
that's what I was talking with
Yeah.
Dr. Miller earlier because
Yeah, we were
I got
talking about
that
about
that
the
tiller,
lights.
Yeah.
and I'm thinking about bringing it tomorrow.
Just be careful where you.
But it's I told him like if it's
You're gonna
anything
be there,
about
Chris.
half a foot there,
I'm gonna do it?
you know, I mean,
You're gonna be there.
It would be
I'll
better.
be there.
It would be better to just use a hand
20
shovel.
foot back.
Yeah.
Just
20
to
foot.
be, you know, that way we don't hit some line there. I mean, if someone can, you know, if you use the tiller, then there's a way that it's gonna like cut one of the lines or something.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll let Dr.
The tiller's really good though, especially, I mean, the only thing I worry about is maybe
That's
small
what I thought.
projectiles like rocks, but that's really good, especially if you do,
That light?
especially where the trees are. Trees would, underneath those trees would be perfect, shade for something, beautiful, especially like, we have some, purple hearts over there by, you know where the entrance to A building is? With those plants, you could actually just snip them off a little bit past like some of the nodes. You put them in water and they'll actually grow roots, but, you know, you need time for that.
The good thing is there's an electrical socket right here, so obviously if it works.
There's a
we can
socket
still
there?
plant.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
I think
a
it's in the
socket
back
there.
over here.
Yeah.
Jesus
Yeah.
Christ, I didn't know
Which,
there was a socket there.
Mhm.
That's what I need to plug in the tiller, so,
Oh.
I mean, but still though, the reason why I'm nervous with that is it happened at my house where I ran over the Wi-Fi cord and it was never the same again.
Yeah.
Cause they didn't bury it deep enough, you know.
It does the job, but
It only
does it too
goes
well.
down about a foot, not a little bit less than that.
Yeah.
You know, but these guys didn't bury the cord long enough, so next
Mhm.
thing I know, I see these yellow, cords and I'm like, oh crap.
What type of worm is that?
Y'all remember the stars that used to be there? The big star,
Like
like the metal
stars?
stars?
I don't remember
They
that.
took them down and then they put up the end.
I didn't know that.
My grandpa made them.
Oh, wow.
If you knew him, interest.
Well, I guess. He got the idea from Alexander, I believe, because they had that A.
Yeah.
So. But, I mean, I know the kids love working on this.
The
I was
end
telling-
isn't for Martin, it's for Mirales.
Well, and I was telling Dr. Miller also that I think it would be cool if maybe some other next project,
Mm.
you got a lot of kids, especially over here somewhere, on that bench that they love to hang out there.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not sure if it's a good idea, but with all this shade that's right there, it would be,
There's a
see,
lot of
have
plants
some
that could grow
benches
really
right
well.
there. Even if you have those old school ones that are over there like cement or whatever, you know what I mean?
Very
That'd be
nice.
pretty cool.
Mhm.
So, but we'll see. PBS.
Yeah.
Now I should have thrown grass seeds too.
Yeah, man, cause
What
they'll
they
grow
got?
without any water and without
You
any
said
feed.
they're sprinklers.
Yeah, you're
So
right,
we
there are
can-
sprinklers.
So
So let's
We
see,
think that's a
petunias,
sprinkler.
snapdragons, and violas.
I would
Violas,
grass.
well, the biggest thing especially is transpiration since summer's coming up. They'll usually go into shock if you don't plant them right or if you touch the roots too much, so you gotta be careful with that. But let's see, available drought resistant plant, full sun, material lows, 500 multicolor.
Those are the inventories that I found at Wolf's website, and that's what we have so far right now.
Yeah, about a foot apart, that's good,
But,
budget purposes.
Petunias.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so,
petunias.
we're gonna see if we can do that right now. Of course, we did give a big shock to Dr. Greenthumb
Mhm.
when we told him about how many plants we're probably gonna need. which
Yeah.
is about like 90-something plants that are there, as far as for this project with the M.
Where do you think they're gonna come from? What?
Santa Claus.
Yeah. Why are they so shocked?
Who
You
is that?
encourage us to do all of this?
Well, yeah, I mean, but now obviously, this looks a lot more than it really is gonna be. Now, again, we're not gonna be up here.
Yeah.
We even had a small talk right now, which I don't mind, okay, if we get really, really pretty fake flowers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If this is the part that everybody's always gonna see, you know, and you always wanna have the best look that's on there, I've been trying to convince my wife to get fake grass in the front, because that's the one everybody always sees, and it's
Yeah.
always perfect, so it kinda makes sense if, you know, we could get some pretty fake flowers that are there.
So,
That's not
do we
very
have any
earthy.
flowers for tomorrow already, or no?
No, I'm going by today to pick them up. I'll buy them and pick them up.
Well, in a way,
Fake flowers
it is
in-
kinda earthy, Cass, because we're not gonna waste water to water them, so,
Oh my god.
in a way.
Yeah.
Or, we could even have, maybe talk to the special ed department if they wanna make some flowers from,
That's a good idea. What if they do arts and crafts? Maybe they could do like little paper flowers, you know, it's a symbolic gesture. I think that's nice.
I mean, we need to find out if those sprinklers work for sure, but if not, they're gonna get ruined.
Yeah.
But maybe there's something that even we can help them out as well, or something that, like one thing I could maybe save a little bit of time is that, and we could even work with our classes to try to have like preserved flowers. You know, something that, you know,
Yeah,
like
I
a
was
real
thinking
flower that
about-
might be, you know, covered, I don't know, with like a plastic coating or something like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, actually, I was thinking about doing that tomorrow. The only problem is that they're just going to, the news is gonna be there, and so it's kinda weird that we're planting plastic flowers around it.
Yeah.
They don't
it's-
know.
I mean, tomorrow it's gonna be,
Yeah.
no, I shouldn't say this, right, but tomorrow's gonna be that big presentation for everybody to see, and
Yeah.
then, of course, it's quite possible that they're gonna be dead by Monday, you know what I mean, which we hope
I'd say
not.
at least Tuesday or Wednesday.
Oh
But
god.
why not? They
Oh,
say-
actually,
Why
Well, it's
would they be
'cause-
dead?
There
Well-
has to sprinklers have to work if the grass right now is green.
It's also the type of soil that you're
No
planting on.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's not just the
We do
potted.
have the extra soil.
There's
that
a lot of soil left
Yeah, we
over.
have a lot of soil.
A generous
available, so, as if it reaches, the sprinklers reach all the way over there at the end, I have no idea. I haven't seen the.
I mean, they should, I
sprinklers
mean,
on that.
luckily, we are science teachers.
Go back to the picture.
So we are trying to get, I think, see, like, I mean, that's like,
I see a lot of barren dirt right there in front of them. But look, we could water it.
To be fair, they
How
can
about
stop
we do
for that.
this? We could do each class goes out to water it. Maybe you have to do it
Once
maybe every
every
2 days.
week.
Now the issue is gonna be summer because in summers it's gonna be
Yeah,
100 and
everybody's
it's gonna get
gone.
glassed by the heat. But I mean, what do the custodians or what do the groundskeepers do during summer? Are they here or no?
Yeah.
They should be here all summer long.
no,
I
I
mean,
So how.
we
what
beg
their,
real
We
nice to
could
maybe-
just ask if, see if they could water it over the summer, and then after that, we can come up with like a schedule
Yeah,
for maybe like non-testing classes, and then like
that'd be
for
really
them to,
nice.
for them to.
I could ask Raul, the head custodian, to see if
Is there
he
kids that
could
could
find
get-
any someone to water
Mhm.
around during the summer.
But I think that would be a good idea. That'd be like a class pet, but it's
Yeah.
you know
The only
class
thing I'll
plants.
tell you this, the custodians are even more busier during the summertime.
Yeah.
Cause that's when they're, taking out everything from the classrooms.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
Not to mention it's gonna be
Yeah.
hot.
But they're here, like they're on campus.
now, obviously, we are picking flowers that there are kind of
Mhm.
more drought resistant. But one thing I was thinking about in a way is that we can even continue also with community hours
Yeah.
and get kids to come in, you know, I mean, like, hey,
And water the plants.
it's the easiest job in the world, just water plants and you get, you know, your community hours.
Here's a bucket, go and water them.
Plus, we should make them talk to them too. Helps with the
Might work.
growth.
I heard it works. Music too.
So
Yeah.
do we have a
It's
plan for
classical.
tomorrow, and who is gonna be doing what part?
I guess everybody's gonna go out there just help dig.
Yeah.
Cause if we just show up over there and nobody knows what to do,
Well, I mean, we're gonna talk about that. Dr. Miller right now is gonna give us a little bit more info with that. One of the other things that we're trying to do, which for those of you guys that were not here for the birthday party that we had for Mr. Rivera, Dr. Miller came up with it, it's not his idea, right, but he told me first, and I was like, you know what, that's not bad, cause that kinda gives me something different to do. They were talking about maybe trying to get some of us certified in health, because apparently the health teachers, right, as far as with the, it's a cake from, program too, right?
It's a CAPE, but it's also fall into the science, the fact that, it goes over nutrition, it's kinda like the food science.
In a way.
Yeah, that
In
makes
a way,
sense.
yeah, it's just, it's not, a lot of people, cause when I was talking to Ms. Polanco, cause she's the one that, and Mr. Tijerina, cause they wanted, the science department to be involved into it. And I asked him, well, is that a physical education class, like, go out PE classes, like, no, this is like, going over the food pyramid, the nutrition, things, all the science part of it.
I guess
But
part
not the
two of-
physical education part.
We can do part 2 of nutrition, I guess.
Yeah, so it's kind of something related to like.
A
what
lot
food
of the
science is
kids,
doing.
a lot of the kids though took that in 8th grade, because when it, like the honors kids, when I get the honors kids, they know like, oh, the endocrine system, they know because they went over all the systems in
In the eighth grade.
health class.
Oh, the health class.
So I know that they have it, but I don't know if it's like the same credit.
So it's very similar to it, yeah, because it says there T to 12, so it's a certification from early childhood all the way to 12th grade.
Mhm.
Yeah,
then
so
more
that,
than
but
like-
that's what I'm saying, like, the counselors would have to be cautious about that, because some kids probably already took it in the middle school.
But
So like if they're offering it
but the
in
problem is
middle
that
school.
some of them are complaining that then that's the last thing that they take out. You know what I mean? Or at least for a while, because the issue with this that they're trying to have is that they're trying to see if we can help. Obviously, you have to get certified, you have to go take the test, all that. I told Larry, okay, are you sure, or, I mean, obviously, as far as you know, it's like, okay, if we would do this, are we gonna get reimbursed, right, for that certification test? You know what I mean? Cause usually for the other tests, like your PPR and all that, you get reimbursed. And we're pretty sure that you're not gonna get reimbursed for this. So that's $120 bucks out of your,
Yeah, it's
your pocket right there.
136, as
Hundred-
Ms.
yeah,
Polanco,
140.
it's like, if we're going to offer that.
Oh, I'm not
then
gonna do
it's-
it.
Huh?
I'm not gonna do that.
Exactly.
Well,
For free.
the good and bad
Yeah, that's
is
yeah,
that
like, I'll mention it to them.
when we had that birthday party, right, Miss Ponce was sitting right there and we
Yeah.
brought it up and she immediately shut it down. She was like, oh hell, no. Like not even close.
I'll take that for a dance party.
She even sided with Miss Harvey saying robotics
Yeah.
would make more sense.
Yeah.
Yes.
No,
Which-
it's because, well, it's like I said, they've already taken it, so sometimes it's the same credit.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it's kind of, if
So
it's a credit
whose
that they
bright
offer in
idea
the
was
middle
to give them
school.
2 credits for the same grade.
Yeah, like I
at the
don't think
same
they'd
time.
get a credit for it because they already took the course.
So who would suggest that? Who suggested that?
I think it was like the CCM, was this Kate or is it
So
CCMR?
this is K,
I mean, it's more
supposedly
K, I
they
think.
had students in it, but they needed more, since they had a larger enrollment of students in it, it kinda spilled over.
I'm guessing they didn't want to take the class twice.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, again, it makes more sense to have a
We already
robotics
have a
class.
lot of science classes, it's okay, they can
Yeah.
stick to health.
Like focus on the ones that we have.
Relax.
Yeah, for real.
Well, I mean, it's one of those things, hey, we would like to help, but at the same time, no, come on.
Yeah.
I mean,
Like
nobody
another
can
class
help
without
us
any-
science.
Yeah, exactly.
Like without any support.
We're
Exactly.
already helping with food science and.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly, food
Just
sciences
being fair.
and stuff, and forensics, because forensics also
We need to start
counts
saying
as
no.
Or K program.
Okay, so, as far as with this, this is one of the ones that you added, I believe, right?